The story of my Leading with Love journey is a thread of serendipitous events that I believe became possible by leading with love versus fear. It's led me to think more about spending my time in ways that will be healthier for myself, my family, and my ecosystem. In my story, loving took the form of trusting, adventuring, and being present, virtues that were due for regeneration in me at this particular time in my life. So this thread of serendipitous events, it started with my doula, Kathy. I was in the final trimester of my pregnancy and had an appointment with Kathy for a prenatal massage. This was back in May. Kathy happened to ask me about my work, and for the first time since I had suddenly been laid off in early April, I decided to open up with someone other than my closest family and friends about that recent event. I'd been quite guarded up until that point, fearful of how it might be perceived. I was also fearful I might get emotional. The layoff had come as a real shock to me. In the month or so before that conversation with Kathy, when people asked how my work was going, I vaguely explained that I was in the midst of a career transition, that it was just the right time for me to venture out on my own as a freelancer. I now see that talking about the layoff more openly was a first step in my Leading with Love journey. Kathy asked me a bit more about what I did for work, and then encouraged me to reach out to a guy called Adam, another client of hers who also did work in the realm of social and environmental impact. I messaged Adam, and not long after, I was on a call with him and Henrik. It was the first networking conversation with complete strangers in which I shared about my job loss. I was 35 weeks pregnant at the time of that conversation, another detail that I shared with them. I'm not sure if it was the introduction to Adam coming from our mutual doula, or the fact that the content on their website resonated with me so deeply. Or maybe something else, but I felt I could trust and open up to them. This pattern of increasingly opening up, being more trusting of people and the flow, has been the theme of my Leading with Love journey. Leading with Love has enabled me to build meaningful connection within this community. I expected I would be building connection over food system themes, and that held true. But unexpectedly, I also built connection with people over similar stories of job termination and transition, stories that they felt comfortable sharing with me. One of these stories of job loss happened to emerge in the curiosity conversation I had with a food system actor. I chose to talk to a regenerative farmer. She started her career in farming after suddenly being furloughed, and said that the furlough ended up being the best thing that ever happened to her. It led her down a path in regenerative ag where she felt she was truly meant to be. She shared those details with me, not having known anything about my recent layoff, not knowing anything about how much that part of our conversation would speak to me. Over the course of this program, I observed how I led more conversations by bringing my whole self, sharing details of my motherhood and my career transition. For me, trusting people to share this personal stuff is a form of leading with love. I'm no longer fearful of what people will think or what friction might potentially come up in the process of sharing. Trusting people enough to open up has brought a number of new stories, connections, and relationships into my life in a very short period of time. While at first look, the Leading with Love program seems to be focused on regenerative food systems, it's about so much more. The regeneration that I found through this program extends beyond agriculture and food. I'm continuing to explore how regeneration can take a more central role in everything that I do, in how I learn and grow, in how I parent and show up for my family, in how I work. For this realization, I owe a debt of gratitude to both the Leading with Love and regenerative ag communities. I actually feel it calling me to get more connected to regenerative agriculture in this next chapter of life and work. I've long admired regenerative agriculture, but for the last 10 years, as I've been doing food systems work, it's been quite far in the value chain from the farm. Yet the whole time, I've dreamed about how I might get closer to the farm one day. This has all got me feeling that now's the time for me to get more connected to regenerative agriculture and see where it takes me.